behind every clean dashboard is a mess someone decided not to mention. Welcome to Confessions and KPIs. I'm Megan Darcy, and in each episode, I talk with someone brave enough to admit what really went down behind the numbers. Today's guest is Shea Karssing, award-winning SEO writer, author of the book Freelance Like a Boss, and my co-host of Freelance Life. And she's also the person who can make Google and humans happy at the same time. She's here to talk about what actually matters in SEO and what we should all stop pretending does. So welcome, Shea.
Thank you so much. I feel like I've been in this studio before for some reason. Maybe in the studio, not so much in the hot seat. So I'm here for it.
It's been a while since we did the first one where you were in the hot seat, but
yeah, true.
Nice to have
probably
you again.
like 2 years ago. Yeah.
What's the most overrated SEO best practice people still cling to?
Okay, so it has to be using one keyword that you research as your top keyword for a specific page and then stuffing it in every single little place you can. Yeah, that's like a proper 2010 called in once it's SEO back, because, I mean, Google has gotten so much smarter than that. And as I'm sure a lot of people know nowadays, it's not about finding one keyword that maybe other people aren't talking about. Google's looking for topics, not necessarily specific keywords. So it's smart enough to crawl your whole website, look at the kind of semantic phrases you're using and see what your website is about, and then try serve that to the user. Because at the end of the day, that's Google's goal, well, other than making money through advertising, is to help give users the best kind of experience and help them match what they want with what they're finding on Google. So in fact, I mean, I think you can even be penalized for that nowadays. And by penalized, I mean, Google's actually going to rank your site a bit lower if you're stuffing, say, I don't know, vegan chocolate cake 50 times onto your recipe page. You know, you'll actually probably rank lower than your competitor who's not saying vegan chocolate cake 50 times, but has better, more natural, structured content and visuals. So I'd say that's the overrated best practice that a lot of people still think is going to win you some favor in the SERPs.
Yeah. It's long tail keywords now, isn't it? That it's searching for, not necessarily keywords like keywords. Or how is it working? Because it's changed. It changes all the time, I suppose.
It changes all the time. So long tail, yes, but more so now those, and what we mean by long tail is more specific, less broad queries. So instead of chocolate cake, it's vegan chocolate cake made with avocado, for example. Sounds gross. But nowadays, a newish addition is the AI overviews. And those are actually referencing a lot of the long tail queries. I mean, I've found it super helpful, and I'm sure you have too, when you are looking for something that is super specific. So, I mean, the other day I was looking for a Kauai smoothie that didn't have dairy. And, you know, my other option would be to go onto the Kauai website and try to see, okay, that says dairy. I didn't even need to visit the Kauai website because the AI overview gave me a list of all the smoothies that don't have dairy. So, you know, those long tail queries are actually being answered by AI overviews now. So how do we win and how do we appear in search and in AI overviews? I mean, I think we're going to talk about this a bit later, but again, it all comes down to quality and matching up with people what actually want. You can't, what I would love more people to know is that you can't trick Google. Google is smarter than you. They are the most brilliant minds, plus large language models and AI and algorithms that are computing at a rate your little brain will never be able to. You can't trick Google, so don't try. The best thing that you can do right now is actually focus on, stop caring about Google. Care about what do people want out of my website and how do I give them that experience? So, sorry, that was a very long and convoluted answer to your question.
Yeah, I think that the days of keyword stuffing are gone, and it's like you say, it's all down to the uh, what is the content actually communicating, and is it valuable to the client at the end of the day, the person looking at your advert or your website or whatever. What is the smallest content tweak that made the biggest traffic jump?
So I think an opportunity that many people miss is updating metadata. So metadata is the text that you see when you do a search and there's a title and a little description about what that page is about. So if you leave it blank, Google will pull from your existing coffee. I need one. Copy. But it often gets truncated or just isn't really the most enticing kind of copy you can add. So updating your metadata, including a keyword if it makes sense, and making sure that it's enticing and the title actually makes people want to click through. So I think that's a quick win that a lot of people might miss out on.
Yeah. Cool. Second number, a client stat that you've used to prove content is working, even if they didn't believe it at first.
So this is one you'll have to get into Google and Analytics to see, but time on page, which is also something that Google sees as very important for obvious reasons. Because if it's a high quality website that matches what people are looking for, you're going to spend time there. And if you're getting a good user experience, so if you are searching for attorney near me and you land on a page that takes 10 minutes to load, you're going to click off pretty quickly and go to the next one. So time on page isn't something that the client is necessarily going to look at. They might be looking at conversions, form fills on that page. But if you can show them that, especially for a blog, if someone's landing on a blog and they're spending time there, it means they're actually reading it. And then you can take it a step further to see where they're navigating. And you can, again, do this in Google Analytics to see where they're navigating after they've read. Are they clicking off, or are they going on to explore maybe some of the internal links you've got in your blog and other pages on the site? And even if they don't convert then and there, it's still a sign that you've given the user something that they want and that they might be interested in your business. Even if not now, it could be later down the line, which is especially true of, a lot of service-based businesses that have longer sales cycles where people aren't just clicking add to cart. It's about that awareness, and time on page indicates that awareness.
Yeah. How does it work? I'm sure that you've experienced this as well, because working in the industries that we work in and being writers, we do a lot of research. And I tend to end up with like 500 tabs open at the same time. Is it counting time on page only on the active page? Or is it still counting because you closed your computer, you went to do something, you came back, and somewhere in like tab 440, that tab is still open? Could you quantify time on page?
Good point. I can't. I don't know the answer to that, but I know Google is smart. So I'm presuming it's active time on the page, but let's definitely check on that because I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, cool. Final number. What is a vanity metric that's fun to brag about, but completely useless in practice? And a lot of people use vanity metrics to measure success on social media, like number of impressions or interaction on posts or comments. But those are essentially all kind of vanity metrics. What's an SEO vanity metric?
I would say traffic, which sounds bizarre because that's what people want. They want to see, are we getting more traffic to our website? Cool. But is it the right kind of traffic? So, like, as we've just spoken about, maybe all these people are clicking through to your website, but they might bounce straight away because they're the wrong kind of people, or you're not giving them what they need. So, if your site gets 10,000 visitors in a month, but a bounce rate of 90%, that means that they're not engaging, they're not interested. And, that's a vanity metric, because what you really want is engaged, qualified visitors who are going to do something meaningful when they get there. So I think focusing on rather what they do when they get there versus just getting there.
Yeah. We actually we touched on the subject. I recorded another podcast yesterday, and the guest touched on this, kind of like if you're just skewing keywords, you will probably get traffic, but you're not telling people what they'll get when they get, and that's why bounce rates are so high usually. So yeah, you're told, as the SEO expert, we don't care about quality, just volume. How do you deal with that client?
Generally fight with them because my question comes down to why? Why do you want to? It's so easy to spam the internet these days. I mean, I don't know, I can't do the maths on this, but like ChatGPT could probably write, if you give it sort of a generic prompt, I mean, what, like hundreds of blogs in one day for you, if not more? The playing field is leveled when it comes to volume because anyone can create volumes of content. So instead of looking at volume, you need to actually level up and look at quality. And I mean, this has been going on for a long time before the age of AI. I mean, if you look at Google's, it's called EEAT, which stands for, I have to remember, experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. So those factors all require quality inputs. Experience, you can't make that up. Expertise, you've got to show that. Showing trust signals, that's all stuff that AI can't necessarily generate, that very real stuff, and that takes time. Again, quality, looking at how will the user get the best experience out of this? So maybe if it's a how-to, you need to have a how-to video and a how-to text. So again, that's a quality experience versus just churning out whatever slop AI comes up with. So what I often recommend to people is if you have a specific term or query that you want your content to appear for, look at those top results that come up and think, how can my content be higher quality than these other links? Because that's, Google's smart enough to recognize that. So yeah, one post that's really great will outperform those hundreds that are actually pretty generic and useless.
Yeah. I think with Google's like AI detector, I'm not sure if it's active yet, but I think that like generic AI content is kind of being penalized now. Or there's talk of it being penalized if it's kind of just like a copy paste out of ChatGPT. So yeah, you need to really kind of nail down your brand promise and the values and all that sort of thing, and your tone as well, and provide real quality, like you say, real expertise, a real help to answer the question in order to rank. I'm not sure if that is active yet. I know that there was talk about that.
The last I read about it was that, which makes sense. Again, Google comes down to those EEAT metrics. So look, if AI can produce something that matches all of those, great, no problem. You're not being penalized because you used AI to create that. But most of the time, I mean, AI is not sentient, doesn't have that nuance to be able to, an expertise, a genuine expertise. So, you can create passable content, but it's not going to be the best content that Google likes to see.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Next hypothetical. A client insists we need a blog every day. What's your response? I suppose it's kind of in the same vein as what we just discussed.
Exactly. So my question would be, I mean, why? Why do you want a blog post every day? I mean, maybe there are use cases. None of my clients, I think, would need a blog post every day. But maybe if you are sharing news that's very timeous, or unlikely you've got a new product that launches every day, or, there might be some use cases where you need a blog every day. But in most cases, can you produce a high quality blog like we've just discussed every day? I doubt it.
Yeah. I think that the only place that's necessarily required is, like you say, in like newsjacking, or if there's some trending thing that can elevate your brand.
Yes.
But yeah. What is the weirdest piece of SEO advice you've ever heard, and has it worked or not?
So I once had someone who'd obviously done a bit of SEO research or reading up about it or look on tactics, whatever. And they asked me if on their website they could create, for the purposes of keyword stuffing, create a paragraph but on a white background and use white text so that Google could read the text, but it wasn't actually visible to the user. So basically sneaking copy in for the sake of getting more
Yeah.
keywords in. So whether it worked or not, I have no idea because I said absolutely not. Like, that's all that kind of thing is referred to as black hat SEO, which I really hope doesn't exist anymore, where people again try to trick Google. Guys, you can't. If you think you're smarter than Google, you're the dumb one. So, yeah, I have no idea whether it worked or not, or if it has worked in the past, but that was a hard no from me.
Final confession. The most painful request you've ever received uh, for SEO copy was ... fill in the blank.
So I think basically anyone who works in SEO has had this particular phrase, which is, I want to be on page 1. Like, you won't. I'm sorry. And that's what I will tell people, you won't. Maybe, like down the line, but there are literally hundreds, if not more, factors that influence where your web page appears in the search results. And now there's even more variables with the introduction of AI overviews. So I kind of explain it like baking, so you can't rush it. You can't just click your fingers and you've got a cake in front of you. You need quality ingredients, which is your content and whatever else you're putting on your website. Behind that, you need the good technique, which looks like the technical side, making sure that you have a user-friendly, quick, technically sound website. And then it does take a bit of patience where you need to gain authority and backlinks. And then with consistent effort, eventually you might get that cake. You might never. But something that I'd also like to mention is these days, AI overviews actually serve the underdog because previously, for a lot of especially broader keyword terms, the pages that appear at the top are your news sites, businesses that have existed forever, Fortune 500 companies that have a lot of authority and trust and all those things around them. They were page 1. You're not going to compete as your little mom and pop shop with those kind of businesses. But now with AI overviews, you actually have a chance to, even if people don't click through, there is the panel on the side that references where those links came from. You do have a chance to show up. So if people are searching for something specific that is relevant to your industry in your area as a product you produce, you've actually got a chance, more so than ever. So a lot of people who work in SEO worry about AI. And yes, it is going to affect your clicks, but it might actually help your visibility. So I think that's something important to mention. And another thing, just while we're on the topic, is just talking about nowadays it's about search everywhere, which means it's not just about your website. You've got to have reviews. You've got to be on social media, being mentioned online. So more and more, your other marketing efforts are actually working together to get you that kind of visibility. So will you appear on page 1? There are no guarantees, and it is such a long game. But again, I mean, it's really not rocket science. The more you focus on quality copy that addresses the needs of your target audiences, that's actually where the wins are to be found nowadays.
Yeah. And can I just ask for my own interest, the accessibility of your website when we coming to, accessibility? You've discussed meta copy. What about your alt tags and that kind of thing? Does that play into SEO as well?
So
Or is that only
that
for
used to be,
accessibility?
yeah, again, it used to be kind of an SEO trick, was to kind of put keywords into your alt text. I would recommend, so alt text, for those who don't know, is if you are visually impaired and maybe you have a screen reader, it'll describe what the image says. Or it can also appear if your images aren't working, then you'll see the alt text. So again, it's not about tricking. It's about actually adding, what is it for? That accessibility is to help people. So you want to say, instead of saying vegan chocolate cake, vegan chocolate cake, vegan chocolate cake, this is actually, these are the this is a picture of the ingredients used to make the vegan chocolate cake. So again, there's no tricks. Let's focus on usability. When it comes to other parts of accessibility, a lot of that stuff is actually legal nowadays, that you are required to meet certain accessibility requirements, particularly I think in Europe. There's actually criteria that your website needs to meet to be accessible to people, and you can actually get in trouble. I mean, look, they're not really, to my knowledge, a special branch of the FBI looking for websites that aren't accessible, but
Accessibility
you can,
police.
yeah, the police, but you can actually be penalized and given a fine if your website isn't accessible. So it's just a best practice. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. This was a lot of fun, Shea. Thank you so much. Where can people find you online if they would like to make use of your superior SEO skills?
So firstly, I'm so happy that you use the words fun and SEO in the same sentence. It's not something I hear often, so thank you for that. I think it's quite fun. But I'm a super dork, but I guess so are you. So so people can find me on my website, which is www.sheakarssing.com, and my name is spelled really weirdly, so I'm hoping that you'll put a link to that in the comments. Otherwise, you can find me on LinkedIn, and yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shea. I'm going to include your links in the show notes, and I will see everyone else in the next episode.